Welcome to the programme.
First, it's well renowned for its pioneering heart surgery, but tonight Papworth Hospital in Cambridgeshire is investigating how an elderly patient fell from a first-floor window. 79-year-old Troy Conway was recovering from a triple heart bypass. Now he faces months of treatment after breaking his back and leg and cracking his hip. Well, our correspondent Matthew Hudson is at Papworth Hospital tonight and he joins us now. Matthew, a bizarre set of circumstances behind this accident.
Well, just imagine your elderly relative goes into hospital for major surgery. The whole family, of course, is extremely concerned. The operation is a success. They make good progress. The whole family starts to relax just a little bit, enough for one close relative to actually go off on holiday. Then you suddenly get a phone call out of the blue to say that your relative has fallen out of a first-floor window and broken several major bones. No wonder the family in question wants answers.
Tree surgeon Glenn Conway uses a chainsaw at work, but he still has an axe to grind with the health service in Cambridgeshire. He wants to know exactly how his 79-year-old father Troy was able to fall from a first-floor window at Papworth Hospital. Troy was recovering after triple bypass surgery when he plunged 20 feet to the ground while disorientated by powerful medication. He broke his back, hip, leg and ankle.
I question the fact that there were windows that opened, that this must be, although not every patient would exhibit it, there must be confusion in patients who are encouraged to be up reasonably, for good reason. But how come on a first floor where people might exhibit those symptoms was a window able to open that wide?
Papworth Hospital, which leads the world in heart surgery, told us the safety and care of our patients is extremely important to us, and we have therefore launched a full investigation into this isolated but extremely regrettable incident. But that wasn't the end of Troy's misery. After being rushed here to Addenbrooke's hospital in Cambridge, he waited 5 days for surgery due to a shortage of intensive care beds.
In a statement today, Addenbrooke's hospital told us the senior anaesthetists decide which patients are most in need of intensive care beds and allocate them accordingly. All patients are reviewed on a daily basis. In this case, it was essential to wait until they could guarantee the availability of the appropriate bed before operating.
Troy Conway is now recovering well, but he'll need far more long-term help than he'd anticipated. But his son still wants answers. How was an elderly and confused man allowed to fall from a hospital window? And why was he apparently such a low priority for the NHS afterwards?
Matt, we'll come to Papworth in a minute, but what concerns did Glenn have about his father's care actually at Addenbrooke's then?
Well, obviously he was concerned that an elderly man with such serious injuries had to wait 5 days for a bed in intensive care in what is one of the country's leading hospitals. But I know he was also concerned that because of this, his father has now been on high doses of morphine for far, far longer than anyone could have anticipated.
And what are his main concerns about what happened at Papworth?
Well, we live in a world where health and safety is seen as being paramount. I mean, if you go to any new hotel and try and open a first-floor window, see how many inches you're actually able to open it by, and yet his father was able to, without being seen by anyone, fall from a window here. Now, an investigation is, of course, underway, but I suspect that is actually pretty cold comfort to the Conway family.
Indeed. Matthew Hudson, thanks for that. Now, Thames Valley Police have been fined £40,000 after a firearms officer accidentally shot a civilian colleague during a training session.
Southwark Crown Court heard that PC David Micklethwaite had gone into Milton Keynes Armoury and taken ammunition stored in a Quality Street tin.
He thought it contained blanks, but in fact there were live rounds inside. And as he gave a lecture to a group of police telephone operators, he shot one of them in the stomach. Claire McGlasson reports.
Evidence seized from the police armoury in Milton Keynes. Inside, not chocolates, but bullets, a mixture of blanks and live ammunition, extremely difficult to tell apart. Judge Nicholas Lorraine Smith said the inherent danger was glaringly obvious, an accident waiting to happen. Yet for 10 years, Thames Valley Police used everything from plastic lunchboxes to baby food tins to store ammunition. The haphazard system leading to the accidental shooting of one of its staff during a training exercise. Keith Tilbury was one of 11 police telephone operators being given a lecture by PC David Micklethwaite about how to recognise different types of firearms. What they got was a lesson in just how dangerous guns can be when he inadvertently pointed a revolver at Mr Tilbury. The court heard that PC Micklethwaite had loaded the Magnum 44 with what he thought was a dummy round. He held the gun close to his chest, repeatedly pulling the trigger to show how the chamber revolved. Mr Tilbury later told police that he'd felt uncomfortable that the gun was pointing at him. He said, "I believe I was in the process of getting up out of my chair to move when I heard 2 loud clicks and then a loud bang. I was forced back onto the chair and then onto my knees." The bullet passed right through Mr Tilbury's body, causing serious damage to his bowel, kidney, lung and liver. He was unconscious for 12 days and in hospital for a further 10. He's now suing for damages in a separate case. Today at Southwark Crown Court, the Health and Safety Executive said the accident could have been avoided.
The matters of keeping the mixed ammunition and quality tin had not been picked up by management, and obviously if there'd been a more detailed monitoring and auditing of the ammunition store, that would have picked it up, and if they'd looked at what the instructors were actually doing in reality, that would have picked that up.
Thames Valley Police were ordered to pay £65,000 in fines and prosecution costs. PC Micklethwaite a total of £16,000 after both pleaded guilty to health and safety charges.
This case has personally affected several people, none more so than Keith Tilbury and his family. The Chief Constable offered her apology to Keith and his family as soon as this happened, and PC Micklethwaite apologised at court last week. I want to reiterate the apology from Thames Valley Police today.
Firearms officers across the Thames Valley area are now using clearly labelled ammunition kits like this one to prevent another potentially fatal accident from happening again. Claire McGlasson, Anglia News, Southwark Crown Court.
A 12-year-old epileptic boy sparked a 4.5-hour search when he went missing on the RSPB reserve at Minsmere in Suffolk today.
The boy was on a school visit when he had an argument with another pupil and ran off. The Norfolk Police helicopter as well as an RAF Sea King were brought in to support Coast Guard crews and rescue teams on the ground.
Well, fortunately, the search ended happily when he was found safe and well. Natalie Gray's at Minsmere for us now. Natalie, a dramatic afternoon then.
Absolutely. Now, Minsmere is one of those places that you come to get away from it all. It's a magnificent reserve, famous for its avocets, marsh harriers and bitterns. But today it was far from tranquil as a massive search began for a missing child. The Minsmere Bird Reserve covers nearly 2,500 acres, and even though almost every visitor here has a pair of binoculars, the 12-year-old was missing for 4.5 hours. The boy, a pupil at Bramfield House School in Suffolk, was on a school trip here when he'd apparently run off after an argument with a friend. People were sick with worry. There is so much water here and light was fading fast.
Just concerned, of course. There's nothing we can do. We just kept our eyes open with our binoculars as well, looking as well. And but there's been several people here from the society that looked into it, and the Coast Guard are here now looking into it.
But it's like searching for a needle in a haystack, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes, and could be anywhere.
Then came the news they'd all been waiting for, and our cameras were there to see the moment he was found. Been missing for a long time, hadn't he?
He had been missing for 4 hours, and in this area, this terrain, you have lots of water areas, you've got bogs, you have reed beds. It's a very dangerous area for an unsupervised child to be in.
Police say they're just thankful of a happy ending. How is he really?
He's fine. He's asking for some food and he's feeling hungry. And we were starting to get a little bit worried, obviously, with daylight would be going soon and it'd be getting colder. So we're pleased that we found him when we did.
He's cold, tired and hungry, but his teachers know this search could have ended so very differently.
Well, Natalie, a happy ending there, but just describe what the atmosphere was like just before he was found.
Well, it was horrible. We were all feeling quite sick in our stomachs because we were all beginning to fear the worst. Then came the news, and then, as you saw from our report, he's absolutely none the worse for his ordeal. And as he passed us, he kept going on, has anyone got anything to eat? So just so lovely to be able to have a story with a really happy ending, and just a tired and cold but hungry little boy with a big adventure to tell about.
All right, Natalie, thank you for that. So he's got a meal inside him now.